Number 444 is Martin Springhetti, Friends of the Upper Delaware Watershed. Sir?
There was an earthquake this summer near Toronto. Earthquakes are rare in this area because there's no new geologic energy being added to the mix. Our underground formations, however, do have a tremendous amount of stored energy held in static equilibrium. If we upset that equilibrium, there will be more earthquakes in our future. The Marcellus Shale is part of that geologic equilibrium. Its structural integrity is being threatened by gas drilling. The fracking process involves the injection of chemical solutions at extremely high pressure. Pressure so great that it breaks and shatters the once solid rock. This greatly reduces the entire formation's ability to withstand pressure. The chemical solution they use is called slick water. I guess that's because some of the chemicals they put in make it slippery. The introduction of large quantities of slick water into the Marcellus Shale further reduces its internal resistance to geologic pressure. If there's enough tension between adjacent formation and the Marcellus Shale is weakened enough by fracking, then earthquakes will result. The geology of this area is complex and unique. Please investigate the seismic implications of widespread fracking in the Marcellus Shale. I urge you to err on the side of caution when dealing with a process that may have severe unintended consequences. The buildings and infrastructure of the Northeast are poorly prepared for even a medium earthquake. Please do not let anything you do bring us closer to that disaster. One earthquake can really ruin your day.
It's true. 446 is Vic Furman, JLCNY, and Sapbush Road Group Coalition.
Thank you for coming today and Monday. I'd like to say that I first came out against gas. I started getting mailings from Norno, which is now Norris Energy, some 6 years ago for a 50-acre lot that I own. I threw them in the garbage. Then they started knocking on my door 4 or 5 years ago with contracts for $200 an acre all the way up to $3,000 an acre. I didn't want it. Then as my neighbors started talking to me about it, I decided it was time to learn something about natural gas. I was invited to the DEC hearing at the school that was right down the road some 2.5 years ago. From that, I went to the hearing in East Middle School, where the mayor Dish Tech spoke. At that time, I decided it was up to me to find out the truth about the processes that were going to take place in New York State. I got on the web and I typed in the word hydrofrack. Site after site after site, I was led to misinformation because the internet had been hijacked by people using the word hydrofrack. It's a shame that a person to get information in this country has to rely on the science of the computer. I ended up getting my information from your website, the EPA, and from the DEC website. It was the only place I found valuable information. I read the STEIS in its entirety. Although it has not been released yet, it sounds pretty good to me when I read through it. It would be important to me and to many landowners and to many people who have educated and taken time to educate them facts on hydrofracturing that you stick to the sciences and the geologists who have studied this. And before I close, because I see I've got 26 seconds left, I'd like to say that from your own website, based on a mine that was drilled in Colorado that you guys studied yourselves, you made a statement saying in order for the migration of hydrofracking fluids to migrate to the nearest water, the deepest water surface, you would have to change the reality of physics. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. All righty, time for that commercial interruption. Again, Nora's changed things up, and now she's on that side of the theater. If you are carrying numbers 451 on your yellow wristband to 475, kindly gather around Nora at this time. With that, we'll turn to speaker number 447, Terry Green. He's an Unatego landowner.
I am a steering committee member of the Unatego Landowners Association with 300 members strong and 30,000 acres in Otsego County. I grew up in upstate New York. It is my home. I love my land and water and consider myself an environmentalist. I have seen farms fold, local companies downsize or leave the area. Towns slowly go downhill as the jobs and our young people leave. This too is an environment that needs protection. Drilling and the jobs and the economic benefit that comes with it offers a chance to reverse that situation. The EPA is charged by Congress to carry out a study on the relationship between hydraulic fracturing and drinking water. By all means, do that study. No one wants our water compromised. There have been isolated incidents of water contamination that brings us here today. These incidents have been magnified by the activists and media trying to paint a universal threat. Study these incidents. Also study the overwhelming success of hydraulic fracturing, where the water remains pure. Keep in mind the benefits of a cheap, relatively clean domestic energy source, which can help our nation for the next 100 years. Every American should be concerned about how we, as a united front, needs to bridge the gap between spending billions on foreign oil. We need to utilize our own natural resources here in our own country. We in New York have been through a long 2-year process where the old regulations have been thoroughly reviewed, commented on from people inside and outside of the industry, and are still being finalized. We are confident that our water will be protected. We appreciate the EPA's further study and expect a peer-reviewed document on the relationship of hydraulic fracturing and drinking water. Our greatest worry is that the EPA will shut down the industry while conducting this study. Do the science. Don't ban a promising and evolving technology over fear generated by isolated incidents. Drill safely, responsibly, drill now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. 448 is Gretchen Herman from SUNY Cortland.
I speak today as a citizen and an anthropologist, and I received my anthropology doctorate here at Binghamton University. Contrary to what the pro-drillers assert, what we are talking about is horizontal high-volume slick water hydrofracking, which has been practiced for less than a decade and is of much larger magnitude than what has been done for 60 years. It's kind of like the chicken coop versus a factory egg facility. I urge the EPA to adopt the holistic perspective of anthropology in the study under question and include all pertinent aspects of the hydrofracking process: water withdrawal, traffic pollution, drilling, fracking, etc. These activities are all part of the process and they are interconnected. As a holistic study, this must also encompass cumulative impacts over time and across terrain. Anthropology focuses on humankind, and this study must put humans and other living beings at the center. The study must include health effects of the multiple carcinogens, mutagens, and endocrine disruptors that are transported and pumped into the ground and leaked and spilled through accidents and negligence, and which evaporate into the air we breathe. For example, compressors and pipelines leak, and now 25% of children in the Barnett Shale get asthma, as compared with 7% in the rest of Texas. The study should also use human informants, such as landowners and neighbors who know the land and who observe the fracking operations around them. If allowed to speak freely, industry workers could contribute invaluable information on actual work conditions, practices, and health effects, and to shed light on the work culture that too often sacrifices safety and proper procedure in a rush to get wells producing. This is an essential study for the health and well-being of millions of people in our life-sustaining water. You must not allow industry to co-opt it. They have already procured their desired results from university studies they have financed.
Thank you, ma'am.
As the Onondaga remind us, you can't drink gas. Thank you.
Number 449 is Mr. Adam Flint from the Binghamton Regional Sustainability Coalition.
The Binghamton Regional Sustainability Coalition was founded to build a sustainable and resilient Binghamton region. Gas production constitutes the greatest threat to the abundant clean water, air, and land necessary for our work to succeed, and thus represents a great threat, not a great boon, for the green economic renaissance that is our future economy. The EPA's study should be comprehensive, independent, and unbiased, and should take advantage of local knowledge in the data collection process. The The study should encompass the entire life cycle of the hydrofracking process, from the geology of formations, treatment and management of produced water, through the abandonment of the well and the fluids left behind. In addition to the fracking stage, the agency should look at both surface and groundwater contamination at every single stage of the gas production process. Unlike the fatally flawed generic environmental impact statement, the EPA must consider the full range of cumulative impacts of many wells across the landscape, which the DEC sidestepped entirely. Unlike its 2004 study, it's critical that this study be independent, unbiased, and performed without influence by those with financial interests in the natural gas industry. The EPA must consider the actual day-to-day practices of the industry and the regulators, which means acknowledging that drillers don't always follow the rules, regulators are stretched, and thus study methods must include unannounced site visits. The study should involve people with expertise and local knowledge in the regions studied. Local scientists and lay people with intimate knowledge of the history and characteristics of the area studied are invaluable to an accurate outcome. Beyond the study, your agency must provide vigorous oversight on this inherently interstate process. Aquifers and river basins do not stop at state boundaries. The existing patchwork of state and regional regulatory schemes vary according to politics, not science, and state regulators have proved entirely unequal to the task of protecting our health and safety. The future of our communities is at stake, and the precautionary principle demands proof of safety prior to proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 450 is Stacey Duncan from the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The Greater Binghamton Chamber represents the interests of nearly 900 businesses in the Greater Binghamton area. Over the last year, we have collaborated with local government, landowner coalitions, local laborers, industry representatives, and experts in the field of hydrogeology to gather accurate information on natural gas drilling and all of the processes involved. We have held several educational forums and feel strongly that the development of the Marcellus Shale will offer tremendous opportunities for growth and innovation in the southern tier. As we understand it today, there have been no documented cases in which the process of hydraulic fracturing itself has caused incidents of contamination to water resources, an important fact that tends to get overlooked in the midst of the debate on this subject. These incidents have been caused by other areas of the drilling process and should be looked at by the EPA with great scrutiny. For the purposes of the EPA study, the Chamber would recommend that a clear distinction be made between issues surrounding hydraulic fracturing and the other processes involved in drilling. We further recommend that EPA work closely with New York State DEC officials to establish best practice standards such as pre- and post-site testing and use of closed-loop systems, and to establish guidelines for enforcement to ensure that only those companies that maintain the highest regard for their industry and for the environment will drill in New York. The Chamber has had the opportunity to work with several of these companies that we feel confidently will do just that. It is also our understanding that some of the issues surrounding water include the need to address the high salt content and the overall water supply within a given shale play. True to the American innovative spirit, new technologies are being developed for production water recycling and desalination. This demonstrates the ability for natural gas extraction to emerge as an important green energy source for our region. We feel confident EPA will determine that hydraulic fracturing is a safe process, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. The speakers from the back.